Hello everybody, welcome to a new series on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. You might recognise this bloke over here, LekDog.
How are you, mate?
Mate, it's good to be here in person.
Yeah, seeing each other in the flesh.
Yeah, we are real.
Yeah, we can touch each other.
Yes, we can shake hands.
That's probably not COVID safe.
No, probably not, but we'll take the risk. So, mate, basically we're doing a really fun exercise. We think it's going to be fun. This all came up out of a conversation that we had last time, and obviously the video that we did with the 2015 draft, we thought it would be a good idea to go back and have a look at what the draft and trade period and really the off-season has meant for our football club. We're talking about going back to the 2005 draft this year, and we're going to go forward from there. So welcome to episode 1 of the Redraftables.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's good.
Thanks to Bill Simmons for coining the term. We're going to take that and run with it. Do you want to start us off, give us some context about the first episode, which is 2005?
Yeah, so we're going to go through, 10 years worth of stuff. We talked about 2015, and that's sort of the new dawn for us as Carlton fans, and we're thinking about it, and there's been a few false dawns, I think, over the last 10 years, so we'll go back to when we were really struggling. Obviously 2005, we're just coming off we're still recovering from the 2002 and 2003 bans that we received from the draft, thanks to some salary cap mismanagement, or as the AFL put it, deliberate, elaborate and sophisticated breaches of the salary cap. So we're still really reeling as a club from that, and to be honest, we're probably still in part hurting from that, but let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
So heading into the 2005 season, I guess spirits were high because we were back in the draft in 2004. We'd seen some young talent coming through, and we were hopeful because we smashed West Coast in the pre-season cup, which was, I think that might have been one of the first
One
games.
of the first flags.
Yeah, definitely the first flag I can remember. I don't know if you can count it. Turns out probably not a good sign for things to come based on how every time we were doing well in the pre-season we struggled in the real thing. But hopes, I think, were reasonably high for 2005.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was just the beginning of the new era, right?
Yes.
We knew we were back in the draft, and we knew we could actually take the first pick and the others as well.
Yeah, but we were wrong because we came dead last. We only won 4 games. We stopped playing at Prince's Park, which I can still remember the last game there. And we took home our second wooden spoon ever, and in a very short period of time we're going to see that became 5 wooden spoons. And we were just actually entering one of the worst periods of Carlton Football Club's history.
If not the worst.
I guess it was dire enough that the AFL gave us a priority pick heading into this draft. There were some positives, like Fev, he led our goal kicking like he's going to in a lot of these videos. He kicked 49 goals. And then Nick Stevens, he actually led our best and Brownlow voting that year. He averaged 22 disposals, and then next best was Cooter, Whitnell and Waite. So some big names.
Wow.
But a very rough season. I don't know if you remember 2005.
I mean, I remember it because Murph was drafted, and I remember he was the prodigy, the kid, the next great white hope. Obviously, at that point, we still have a few of the old legends. Cooter was obviously still running around. So at that point, for me, he was still the hero. But Murphy coming in was the big one because he was the new young gun kid. So I just remember flashes of him. It's really the years after that my memory really kicks in every week.
Yeah, so I feel the same. Because Mike Murphy I think we're from a generation or a group of followers that sort of grew up with Mike Murphy and Bryce Gibbs, and that's kind of why we've built it around this. Murphy's probably coming to the end of his career. I think it's good to look back. And
isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Isn't it crazy that Murph is the old guy, like the older guy? I shouldn't say the old guy.
He's pretty old.
The older guy in the team, and for me, he's always been the kid. I think also because he doesn't look old. He still has the baby face. So it is crazy to me that in 2020 filming this, we're talking about Murphy maybe playing his last or second last or third last year. Who knows? So yeah. Let's have a look a little bit at what we actually did
let's do it.
In this off season and if it is relevant to us today.
All right, so we don't have to necessarily run through everything, but there is definitely some key notes.
Some notables.
We only had the one retirement this year, so we're still in this period of time where we're not cutting a heap of players because we missed out on 2 years of drafting. We bought in all these sort of mature ages to fill the gaps, which is going to ring true again in about 10 years' time, just to fill gaps. And then we adopted youth policy sort of in the next couple of years. But at the moment, they're just trying to fill the holes.
Mm-hmm.
So Glenn Bowyer, he retired. We had some delistings. David Clark, don't really need to talk about him. Brett Johnson, he's only interesting because he came across with Daniel Harford, who's now obviously coaching the women.
He is.
And coaching them very well. Digby Morrell got delisted. Digby, famous Digby, who we bought over in a trade with David Teague for Corey McKernan.
Oh, mate.
There's and I think he hurt that we were delisting him, which is not a great sign of where things were. We delisted a few other players, but the main one for me is, and my dad is still angry about this, is Scott Camprielli.
Yes.
Got delisted so he could betray us, according to my dad, us and go to Essendon.
So he doesn't. So wait, why did we delist him? Was it just time? Was he old?
I think he wanted to leave, or had a better option over at Essendon, so he was delisted so he could get across. There was no free agency or anything back then.
True.
A lot of players just get delisted because they got a better deal at the other club, and there wasn't too much mucking around. He had a great career for the Blues. 233 games, 200 goals, 49 Brownlow votes, and a premiership. A best and fairest and an All-Australian. So we loved him. Yeah. But this was like the first player I saw leave the club. Yeah. So, in our family, we've never forgiven Scott Camprielli.
Wow. Yeah. Premiership. Was he a premiership player?
Yeah, he played in the 95 premiership.
Yeah, would have been a real young'un. So, okay. I don't remember him leaving at that point. I really don't. This is all a refresher for me. I remember Digby Morrell. I kind of remember Carl Norman. I'm not going to lie, but David Clark and Brett Johnson and Sam Fleming, who obviously didn't play for us, but I don't remember these names at all. So that's basically who we got rid of. Could you say we were cutting the dead weight? We started cutting the dead weight.
I think this was the sign of things to come when Campo wanted out, and I think they started to work out that they might need to turn to the youth. But I honestly think that heading into this season, they thought, we're not going to come last again. We'll draft a gun and. So let's not cut too many players, but that attitude changes pretty quickly as we move on through the years. There was only one trade for us that year. Jason Saddington, we traded him in for like pick 52. Just never really had a go at it with us. Just constantly injured.
Yep. Couldn't get going. Fair enough. I feel like he had a bit of like a bowlish haircut. And I feel, anyway.
One thing I found out in this research is apparently he had Sydney knew about a complication that had happened with his knee during a surgery or something, but not told him or Carlton Football Club when they traded him. And then, like a year later, he found out, no, they were like, there was a complication with your knee. So,
wow.
That's surely not allowed now.
Okay.
But, we move forward. Because the draft, this is when we start, it feels like we start really going, okay, the draft is going to save us. And it kind of does, maybe, as we move on.
Yep.
But your man, and you can talk to him, is Mark Murphy. We took him with the number one pick, the priority pick we were given, and this is really where the story begins for us.
It really does. Yeah, like I said before, I don't remember 2005. I don't remember much of it, but I do remember the memory kicking in once Murphy. Like I just remember the hype around him. I remember just taking a liking to him. Obviously, the season had already finished. But I do remember this being the start of the new era for us.
Yeah, and I know that we probably don't need to specify this because people still knock Mark Murphy. You're going to see through these videos that he's like, without him, I don't know what we would have done like for the last decade or how long's he been in the club now? Like a long time.
A while. I mean, look, so Murphy at 1, Josh Kennedy at 4. We'll obviously get to the others, but. We're going into the end of 2005. We need to build around someone, or in this case, 2 people. It makes total sense. You take a midfielder and a forward, unless the defender available is an absolute, superstar of his age, a Jacob Wiedering, which I don't believe there was a defender that was that good in this crop. But at the time, I remember Murph being talked about as the clear number one, very similar to the way Sam Walsh was spoken about when he was drafted, and I guess a lot of these midfielders, or Matt Rowell as well, I think a lot of these midfielders are always, you generally know they're going to go pick one. Was there anything else that you found when you were looking back about the research before we picked Murph, or was it just so clear cut that we had to pick him?
Yeah, from what I could read and what I could see, it was Mark Murphy was number one. He was going to go number one. When they gave us a priority pick, it was for Mark Murphy. And then there was some discussion around that next pick, but Josh Kennedy as a key forward to build around, to team up with Brendan Favola, who is already dominating at AFL level, and he had a slow year this year. I think he only kicked 49 goals. So pair him up with him and Jared Waite, and I think the plan was to build around Josh Kennedy, and obviously that didn't happen. We didn't hold him onto him for very long.
No, we didn't.
And the stats don't look super great. 22 games and 11 goals at Carlton at half a goal a game, and then he goes across to West Coast and plays. He's played 260 games and kicked 645 goals.
Wow.
Averaging 2.5 goals a game. So, and he's a premiership player and leading goal kicker every year. And we can talk about this when we get to that year. I wouldn't change what we did.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, let's have a look at... we get to 2020, so we know that Dale Thomas was in this draft. He was picked 2,
I believe so.
Yeah, I believe he was picked 2, yeah. And, I mean, you look at Daisy's career, you look at Murph's career, obviously Daisy has the premiership. He reached some... I believe he was an All-Australian.
Yes,
I believe he was for sure. But I still wouldn't really change that draft really at all. Pendlebury, I believe, was in this draft too.
There was a lot of guns in this draft.
Yeah.
And look, you can't... Every draft has guns and they stand out to you because they're guns. But at the time, we knew that Mark Murphy was going to be a good player, and he's going to be a 300-game player for us.
Yeah.
Captained the club for many years and was All-Australian, and he's won multiple best and fairest. Like, Mark Murphy's a good player, and I just don't know...
We can't really critique that pick.
Yeah, you can't.
I mean, you can maybe say Pendlebury... Definitely, I think Pendlebury is the better player now, but I think their journeys are different. Murph, he reached some heights. Like, how can you forget 2011? Like, he was, he was viewed as a top 5 player in the league. He really reached the heights that you want from a number 1 pick with all the hype. Unfortunately, it was that famous hit with him and Dangerfield that really changed the course of his career, because he just seemed to keep getting these collision injuries, and people have a really short memory with him because he was a real tough he was a little guy, but it was tough, and he used to put himself in positions that would hurt him, and I think that's just compromised the way he plays now. Like, he cannot throw his body around like he once did, because he's either restricted due to surgery or whatever the case may be. So without wanting to turn this into too much of a Mark Murphy fest, as I always do, I'm happy with the first pick. Even the first 2 picks that we made, they made sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You take the best player and then you take the best key position player, which we did.
Yep.
A few other draft picks that didn't work for that year. Jake Edwards, we drafted with our 3rd rounder. He was a really, really good VFL player.
Okay.
He was a really good VFL player. Played in the Bull Ants Grand Final in 2009. I don't think they won that year, but that didn't translate. We picked up a bloke in the preseason draft called Dylan Mclaren, who was just another one of these mature ages. He played AFL level, didn't make it for us, which is fine. And then Ryan Jackson, I want to note this guy because poor Ryan Jackson, he only played 9 games for us. We picked him up in the rookie draft, but on Wikipedia he's listed as a Collingwood player.
Okay.
So that's how much of an impact he's had on in his AFL career. They don't even know what club he's played for. And then our last rookie pick for the year was a guy called Craig Flint, who played a lot for another great VFL player, played a lot of games for the Northern Bull Ants, and we drafted and re-rookied him and dropped him about 100 times, but just never made it at AFL level. And there's going to be a lot of those guys in this series, unfortunately.
So basically, the top end talent, we got it right, and then the depth, the role plays, we didn't quite get it right. And to be honest, as I say that, that's probably the symbol of this rebuild, because I feel like at its peak, we had some pretty good top end talent, but that bottom 6 was just a bit of a struggle. So interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
We probably weren't replenishing. It gets better as we continue, but we probably weren't replenishing. We were losing players who could play at AFL level and not replenishing as many as we needed to.
Okay, interesting. So that's 2005.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for 2006 as we move into the next year of the next rebuild of the Carlton Football Club, and we'll see you there.